afternoon. Tom Galuscio, President of the Westerly Historical Society, and I have the sincere pleasure of being with Joe and Carol Potter today for our oral interview for our Reflections program. Good afternoon, Carol and Joe. Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
And to start our program, there's a great deal of history for both of your families here in Westerly. They've been woven into the fabric of this fine town for hundreds of years. And we'll start with Carol, with your grandparents and parents and how they found their way to Westerly.
Well, I really don't know how my grandfather Wilcox. We have to go back to the library, and of course that was Stephen and Harriet, and they never had any children. But when Stephen died, the library was not finished. And so they called in my grandfather, Ethan, and he completed the library, and with a lot of help from his daughter, from finishing off the library for them. When I go back to my mother's side, maybe I probably could go. My mother's side, let's go back to Jonathan Nash, the first lighthouse keeper. And then from him, it was our grandfather was Winslow Nash, and then Edwin Nash. Winslow built the Bay House on Bay Street, and then Edwin was next in line, next grandfather, and my great-grandfather there, and he was the one that went out and saved all the people when there was the shipwreck of the Metis. In Watch Hill, he took his boat and he went out and he saved several people, which he got the gold medal for, and we went from Washington. Then my grandfather Nash, and I knew my grandfather Nash, and what a wonderful, wonderful man he was. He was so sweet to me. But, and also my grandmother Nash, and of course he was the fire chief at Watch Hill for many years, and of course during the time that he was the fire chief, they had the Great Fire, and that was his grandfather's, great-grandfather's hotel that burned, and they had nothing but just a pumper at that time. And then finally, I think it was from either, I think it was around Essex, that they sent the
Little Alfie.
The little Alfie, and that helped out a lot. Okay. And of course, my mother, Lilibel Nash, she was quite a swimmer, and she did work. Of course, they lived right on the end of Napatri Point in Watch Hill, and they went to school. When they got old enough, they went to school with the trolley, and the high school was then at beside the library. Oh. But she was premature. They didn't think she was going to live. She was so small. She didn't tell me many stories, and sometimes they didn't, and sometimes I wish, because I sat with my grandmother when she was ill, very ill, and I used to sit with her, but we'd either watch TV or we'd play games or something, and never got into the history. I wished I had a little more of the family.
Well, Wilcox and Nash families are certainly on the map in Westerly. There's no doubt about that. Joe, how about your grandparents?
Well, I don't go back to Roger Williams like she does, but my family, I was born up in the north end of town, way up north, and I was born, I always say, second floor, front bedroom, April 29th, 1933, and we grew up there. We walked to school. We went to Immaculate Conception School to the 8th grade, and I had 4 sisters. I have one surviving, Kathy Potter, and we had a good childhood. It was slightly, just after the Depression, So things were, you know, you really had to scratch for things in those days. You had to be frugal, and my grandfather was Grandfather George Galucci. He was a gardener, and he was a gardener for the Mellon Estate down at Watch Hill, and he was the gentleman that was responsible for doing the hedge along the Watch Hill Road to the Arch. But back in those days, there were no power tools. It was hand clippers, and he worked for the Mellons for 35 years as a gardener. And when he wasn't at the Mellon Estate, he was planting every square foot of the property that we owned, that he owned. He and my grandmother lived on the first floor. We lived on the second, and my aunt and uncle lived on the third floor. And it was a very active house. Weekends and particularly Sundays was Grandpa's day of rest. It was church and then back to home, and we had many visitors come on Sunday morning to meet with our family and just say hello and pay respects. But it was a fun time to grow up, and it was plain and simple. I always found work. I had plenty of work to do, working with my grandfather for the most part. I think that's where my work ethic came from, working with him. He used to joke about, we're going to play the banjo today. And the banjo in those days, he was referring to the shovel. And tilling the garden was manual labor, and we did that together many, many times. But it was a very rewarding time. But unfortunately, when I was 11, my mother passed away, and she was 38 years old when she passed, and left the five of us, and we just had to make our way from there. I did transfer I went to Westerly High School, and I left school at the age of 16. My goal was to, when I went to my dad and said, I'm thinking about leaving school, and he says, well, what are your plans? And I said, I want to go into the Army. And he says, well, under those circumstances. So I went into the Army at 17, the day I turned 17. And before I left for the Army, I was blessed, really blessed, meeting Carol. We were roller skating, and when I come back from when I joined the Army, I was my first duty station was at the Valley Forge Army Hospital. It was a freestanding hospital, and we were receiving Korean vets, injured, coming home, and so I was there for a year and a half, and then following that, I was transferred to Korea. I was an Army medic, and I went to Korea, and I spent the balance of my time, the close to a year and a half. And when I come home, I was here again. I got a double blessing because Carol was working at the W.T. Grant store, and she was still in high school, and she worked at the candy counter there. And as you went into where Mitch Shelley's Furniture is now, and as you went through those big double doors, there was a little cubicle there, the candy counter, and that was Carol. And I went in not once, not twice, but 3 times, and asked for a date, and finally I persevered, and that was 1953, and in 1954 we were married in Hurricane Edna, 9/11, 1954, and coming up in a few days it will be
September 11th again for our 70th.
It'll be our 70th
anniversary.
Wedding anniversary, and we've enjoyed many friendships along the way, and Westerly has been good to me. Has been good to us. However, you know, we both worked, working. Carol worked at Cottrell's at the time, Harris Graphics, etc. And she was a IBM machine operator on the first, I think, one of the first IBM systems.
It was the very first key punch, what they call the key punch, but it was big dials at the top that you punched and it took forever. It took forever, and then of course, naturally, before I left, they came into different machines after a year or so.
And we have two daughters. Cindy she's retired. She's a church administrator. She was a church administrator at Central Baptist Church. And Sherry, our younger daughter, she's retired as well. And she was a registered nurse and worked at a couple of facilities over in Mystic. Avalon was a major assignment over there. And I can go on, you know, at my age I can go on for stories, but I think the story that I like the best is when I met Carol and we were married and we worked hard together, sometimes 2 or 3 jobs at a time, and we raised 2 great young ladies, and we have 3 grandchildren, which we're very proud of. And they will be flying. Larissa will be flying in from West Hollywood, where she works, to help us celebrate our anniversary. And our grandson Jake will be driving in from Tucson, Arizona. And our grandson Paul, who is here, he's a cabinet maker, and so we're looking forward to celebrating.
He's with the fire department.
I'm glad your family would be with you. Carol, where was your family homestead growing up?
It was the oldest house. Actually, we moved there. My father worked at BDA, and then he got a job at Cottrell's. And we moved from Bradford, and we moved into Chestnut Street, which was, I'm finding out that it's the oldest house on Chestnut Street. And it was built, I know the house next to it was built in 1866. So it's got to be years older than that. Yeah, then we moved to Chestnut Street. I grew up at Chestnut Street. I went to the Elm Street School till grade 6. I still remember my teachers, some of the wonderful teachers I had there. And then I went to the junior high. It was the junior high school at that time, and then the Westerly High School, and graduated in '53. Yeah, my father was a carpenter, and he built all the crates and everything to ship all of the printers for the Cottrell Company. And actually, he and Joe, we lived on the 2nd floor of Chestnut Street even after we were married. We did have another apartment, but then I was expecting Cindy, and we moved into the 2nd floor. And by that time, my mother and father had bought the house on Chestnut Street. And my father and my husband built the house up on Midway Avenue, and that's off of the Meeting House Bridge up there. And they built it, really, the 2 of them.
Wonderful. Joe, going back to your youth, any siblings that you grew up with?
I have 4 sisters. My sister Frances was the oldest. My sister Anna was next. Then there was me, I was in the middle. And then my sister Ursula. And then my sister Catherine, she was born in '42, and she's my surviving sister, and we all managed to put it all together, you know, and after Mom passed away, but we had a lot of help. I mean, people people were just so gracious and humble and giving as we grew up, as kids, without a mom. And, my father was out working 2 or 3 jobs to keep things going. But like I say, with the help of many people, relatives and friends, and we made out okay.
And where was the family homestead on the north end?
The family homestead was 21 Joseph Street. It was referred to as Central Park at that time. Now, we were the last house. The surrounding land was made up of garden lots, small lots for folks that lived on Pierce Street, Pleasant Street, Pond Street, in that area would have garden lots there because of the closeness of the homes on those streets. They didn't have a big lot to grow their vegetables, and so those were all garden lots. And now you drive through and it's all housing. So we were kind of the end of I call it the north of the north end.
Well, now Joseph Street split because 78.
Yeah, 78 cut us off.
in.
So now it's North Joseph and South Joseph. Yeah, but they were fun times. I worked. Mr. Miner had a farm up at the end of Joseph Street, and we'd go up. Get an opportunity in the summertime to help with haying and those kinds of jobs. And Reggie Kenyon, who was up in Potter Hill, he had hay lots over, and I mean we'd going out, 2 or 3 of the guys, we'd go to make a few bucks so we could go to raise 11 cents so we could go to the Central Theater to see a double feature movie on a Saturday. And yeah, it was a good life. We walked. My father didn't have a vehicle until it was like in the 42, 43, I think was his first vehicle. Up until then, it was, they called it Hofsmeyer. We walked back and forth to school, even to the high school. When I was at Westerly High School, you walked from Central Park up downtown to Narragansett Avenue and then up. So it was good for us. So my employment, I worked several jobs. I mean, I would take, I always wanted to be busy, and I took an apprenticeship opportunity at Cottrell's I like mechanical engineering, and I took a draftsman apprenticeship, and I think it was 8,000 hours, and he did classroom work and as well as board work at the shop, and I think I was about 7,100 hours into the apprenticeship, and there were 16 of us within Cottrell's on the apprentice program, and they in May of 1958 there was a little downturn in the economy, and as a result the Cottrell's the apprenticeship program we were laid off, and so I was out of work, but not for a day. But I was also at that time working part-time at the Greenhaven Inn, where Greenhaven Inn was known for all male wait staff, and you did everything by memory. You didn't write anything down for orders, and it was quite the hot spot at the time for fine dining. And when I got laid off, Freddie Rivers, who was the co-owner at the time, said, "Why don't you work here full time?" So from May to September, I worked full time, and I had the opportunity. Bob Holland, who was doing the books for them at the time, said he was also the controller at the Washington Trust Company, and he said, "I need somebody at the bank." And I said, "I don't know anything about banking." I said, "I know a little bit about numbers. I like math." But he says, "No, you don't have to have any experience." Well, I went in and interviewed with Mr. Arthur Perry, the chairman at the time, which that's a whole nother story. But the short part of the story is I was hired as the mail boy and the gopher. And I guess you call me a GM, gopher and mail boy. And at that time, when you, particularly the mail help, you started at that job was the mail boy and the gopher, and you worked your way. And I mean, I couldn't have been happier with than, and the opportunity that I had at the bank, because they were very kind and generous with their time to allow me to. I went to school nights and weekends for all different disciplines within the bank, and I just rose through the ranks. And in 1986, I was appointed. Joe Kirby asked me to serve as his executive vice president, and I accepted that. And at the same time, in 1986, I took on a program at the Estonia Graduate School of Banking, and that topped off my many banking courses, related courses throughout my career. And I completed that in 87, I think it was, that I completed that. I graduated.
Pretty amazing, from 58 to 86, from mail boy to executive vice president. That's quite a journey.
But, yes, you know, and the people, the bank was. I was number 30. I was employee number 38. So that goes to show you the growth that's been over the years. It's now in the assets, I think, were 38 million, and now it's in the billions. But we've had, you know, some great leadership over the years with Joe, and after I left, the new folks that come in that were brought in to lead the bank have been very, very prudent management, and as a result, we have what you have now is a real asset to this community. I call it one of the jewels in the community. When you take a look at the overall way of living in Westerly, what we have between the hometown bank, your library, your YMCA, the hospital, Babcock Smith House, and I mean we have so much here in our community, and that's why we love this community. But it was all the philosophy of the bank was, to serve the community, and in marketing the bank, it's to check with your people in your community and find out what they want and what their needs are, and you do it in a prudent manner, and it's been successful over the years. And I can't say enough about the people I worked with. And you didn't work for someone when you were at the bank. You worked with them. I mean, it was all a team. It was always a team. And back when I joined the bank, I mean, there were many late hours, but it's been very rewarding. Today, I walk the streets and I see, I bump into people who are generations that I was able to assist and help through the years, along with the team.
So Carol, going back, you said you were married in a Hurricane Edna in '54. Mm-hmm. How did that play out?
Well,
That's a bride's nightmare.
I know. And when we left for our honeymoon, the sun finally came out, and it was beautiful. But of course, the family was very worried about us leaving because, wires were down, but we did make it into Connecticut.
Yeah.
But yes, I went to church with 7 raincoats. My wedding gown was ruined. It was beautiful. I had pictures, thank goodness, but it was ruined. And I had his sister Ursula was my maid of honor, and then I had my 2 cousins. My mother had an older sister, Doris, She had a younger brother, Frank, but Doris had the two girls, Joan and Lois, and they were both in my wedding too. And in fact, we are coming, of course, it would be our 70th on September 11th, and Joan, is the only one that's still living.
What church were you married at?
Lady of Victory.
Lady of Victory in Ashaway.
Okay. Sure. Oh.
Yeah.
And your venue for after your reception?
Well, we wanted the Green Haven Inn so badly because, and in fact, he was working there at the time, but it was booked. So I don't know if people remember way back in '54 how really nice the Elm Tree Inn was. It was very nice. So we had our reception. We were able to get the reception there. And it was by candlelight most of the time because there wasn't any electricity. And but people had a good time because they were soaking wet. They just had a great time.
But the people who had their reception planned at the Greenhaven Inn had to cancel because you couldn't get there. The roads were flooded. Both Greenhaven Road in the Lower Porkaduck and the entrance from Wickety Quawk, you know, that back. So they had to move, and I can't remember where they moved, but they just couldn't get to their venue.
It's a good picture that we had. Thankfully, we have the photos. We had a photographer, and he was able to take several photos. But it was by candlelight. It was very different, and sometimes the lights might come on and go right off again.
And Joe, I'm a little intrigued by your service in Korea. How did you end up in the medical corps? And can you tell us a little bit about your experiences
Yeah, that
with
was a strange one. Here again, you know, when, you know, your guardian angel touches you. When I was in bivouac, in basic training at Fort Dix, New Jersey, the final phase of your basic training is bivouac. And you go out in the field and you do what you got to do in the field. I had a slight infection. I had a razor cut, and I had a little infection. So when I come back off bivouac, I went into the hospital on the base, and they kept me for a few days. And during the time that I was in the hospital, my company, in its entirety, shipped to Germany. And so when I was discharged, I go back to the company, and I'm the only one left. And the captain there said, you know, what am I going to do with you? And I says, well, whatever I can do to help. So he says, I'd like to have you help me train the next group coming in, which I did. And we put this crew through basic training. And with it, I assisted him. And then he had to do something with me. And he said, now I've got to do something. Where would you like to go? Now, I'm 17 years old. The furthest I've been from Westerly is on the train to Fort Dix. So I says, I don't know. He says, well, have you ever heard of San Antonio, Texas? I said, oh yeah, I've heard of that. He says, well, I'm from San Antonio. He says, and how'd you like to be a medic? I says, sounds good to me. So off I went, the troop train down to Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and trained as a surgical technician, field surgical technician. And they took, at the end of that period, when I graduated, they took the top 7% of the class and give you an opportunity to stay on for further training. So it was offered to me, so I accepted. So I stayed on for a few more weeks, and I did, I went into psychiatric work. And so when I completed that, I got the troop train back up to Philadelphia and to Fort, and that's when I went to the hospital at Valley Forge Army Hospital, and I worked psychiatric ward for. I was a night ward master in a psychiatric ward for a little over a year. and then I got orders to ship out, and then I went to Korea. But in Korea, we did everything. We were a field operation. We lived in a tent, same sleeping bag for 9 months, and but you just you did whatever had to be done. It was although you had one discipline, anything that had to be done, you did it, and that's the way we worked. And if people who remember MASH and the helicopters, they built helicopters with the litters on the side. We'd take wounded from the front lines would come in, and we were kind of a clearing company. We'd triage them and either get them well enough to go back to the line, or if they were serious, we'd send them to the MASH, and that's when you see the helicopters, and we would have those helicopters come in and out. But it was, again, it was gratifying work because you were helping people and in need, and we took everything, whether it's an Army, a U.S. Army soldier or a Marine or a sailor. It didn't matter whether they were American or Turkish or Korean. We serviced them. And when I boarded the troop ship coming home, I had some good advice from a good friend that said, when you get on the troop ship, volunteer for sick bay, which I did. I worked sick bay, and I got out of the routine things like KP and that sort of thing. So I worked in the hospital, slept in a bed as opposed to the rack. And I mean, those troop ships. So I know we made one stop and dropped off 5,000 troops, and we still had a load in the boat. But it was rewarding and fun, good experience.
How did that come about, Joe?
What,
being president of the Columbus Society?
Well, I was town treasurer at the time, and there were a number of people that asked me to join the committee. I joined the committee and helped them out a little bit, and Jimmy Cosenza, at the time, I think Judge Trumpetto was the president back then, and I just got along good with the people. Ray Castagna and Billy Gingerella and that crew, part of the crew that talked me into running for politics, and so it was just part of me, and I felt that I was giving back and carrying on a tradition in the community, and that tradition is not only the keeping the Columbus Day Parade or the statue, to continue on with the work that had started in 1947 when a group of businessmen and women in the community got together and raised the funds to have that statue carved and erected it in between the post office and the library. And I guess, to honor the people the artisans, I mean, there were artists the 4 or 5 artists that carved the different parts of the statue. It is done in segments, and I guess to honor my tradition. I mean, my heritage is Italo-American, and I want to continue that on. Respect for my forefathers, and it's been fun. And they asked me to. When we started, there was about 17 or 18 ladies in the community, and Jimmy Cosenza, we called him our little drummer boy. If you remember, he was with the Westerly band for years and years, and he'd come to the bank at least once a week, and how we doing? And we started the ceremony started as a procession celebrating the statue when it was erected. It'd be a Mass at the Immaculate Conception of the Westerly Band, number 1, and then just the committee, and they'd march to the park, and they'd have a speaker, and that started before my time. But when I got involved, I was part of a group that wanted to expand it, and then we got the Westerly High School got involved, and so that we went from a 2-division to a 3-division to a 4-division. And then in 1992, for the 500th anniversary, it was suggested that we do something on a larger scale. And that's when we went to actually a 12-division parade. And it's continued on since '92, with the exception of, COVID shut us down for a while. But we've had some great people. We've between honored citizens and grand marshals, but we really have had a great turnout by the community. Financially, the town of Westerly and the town of Stonington have been with us right from the start. We want to make it as colorful and as good as we can for the community, because people say, what do you get out of it? I say, when I'm at the top of Granite Street Hill and I look down and I see people on both sides of the street and sidewalks are filled with smiling people, and kids from 0 to 100 are out there smiling and happy to see you, it makes it all worthwhile. And fortunately, between the Columbus Day Parade and other things that I'm involved with, I'm blessed to have a wife that is very supportive, and that means a lot,
And supportive, I guess she has been, because looking at your resume, you have been giving back for many, many years with the Rotary, and to my surprise, a local representative for Westerly for 6 years at the State House.
Yes.
So you've always found time to give back to the community.
I can remember of him trying. He was up at the State House, sometimes late coming home for dinner. Most of the time late coming home for dinner. But then he would eat and he'd run back to the bank. So there was a lot of years that were, but I was happy. I had my 2 girls. And they had their friends over, and of course I would pick up all the toys and everything afterwards, but those were happy years.
During your time as a representative, Joe, do you have any fond memories of accomplishments?
I can remember Tom Perry. He had an office upstairs, and he was the investment guy. This was back in the early '60s. He said, the people want you to run for office, a political office, and he said, I encourage you to do that, but I couldn't at that time. It was Bill Gingerella. He came, he says, we want you to run. I said, no, I can't. I said, I've got too much going right now, but come back next time. Well, he had a pretty good memory, and he come back in '66, and he says, I'm back. So that's when I ran for the treasurer's position, and I went to our management. I went to, Bob Perry at the time was president, and I, explained to him that they wanted me to get involved and run for treasurer's office and further on to the representative. And it was conditional. He says, you can take all the time you need, but under condition that you do a good job, and that was it. And the time was, I was the furthest away from the State House for meetings. And so much of my business was done back in those days. I had a bag phone, the early phones. And I'd call my secretary from Providence, from the State House, and she'd read me off a list of pink slips that I had. And I'd do my calls on the way home, and then have dinner, and then I'd go back and take care of the things that required me to do.
I wondered how thinking back, how we ever got everything, traveling and everything in. But it is nice to be back in this building today, because, of course, it wasn't here when I'd first joined the Babcock Smith House, and I have lots of pictures of bazaars and different things that we put on. But I've got to tell you that one day after one of the meetings, Fran Kelly and I were talking, and we were walking, and we went by. Of course, I don't know if it's what's called the boarding room. All the children were born, and it was there because it was so close to the fireplace, so it was warm there. It was stuff, and I said to Fran, I said, you know, this doesn't look much like a store. So she says, what do you think we should do about it? And I said, well, I mean, it would, you know, I came up with a few things. I said, let me think about it. And we put our heads together, and I have pictures of what it looked like after I finished with that store. And I was pretty happy with it. And I think everybody else was happy with it. And Ike Smith said, we're cleaning out, we'd like to clean out the crib house, the old crib house, and we'd like to put the store in there. So this is where he came in. He went in that crib house and he cleaned and he cleaned.
Jeez.
And
They had more junk in there.
And it wasn't just that. I mean, he had to clean everything, rafters and everything. So, but we were able to move in.
So you're referring to Joshua's store?
Yeah.
I was the first manager, yeah.
Well, Ike Smith came into the bank, and I think it might have been Don Bonner that was with him. And he said, you know, we have someone retiring from the board at the Babcock Smith House, and we wonder if you would be interested. We'd like to have you on the board of directors. And I said, you know, Ike, I said, you know, I'm getting to that age where, you know, you probably should be looking for someone, you know, a younger person. And he said, if you come aboard, he said, you will be the youngest person on the board, because at the time Curly Saunders was, and I think it was his mid-90s. And the people have carried on keeping it up, and there's some very dedicated people here, and I mean, it's a great asset to the community. Yeah, and of course, you know, the granite industry has been so recognized by what is in this collection here now within the house. This section of the house is really done well, and it brings, you know, it keeps you in memory of the people who worked in the quarries and hard labor and what is produced. And as a result, you know, from the quarrying and the quarrying operations in our community through the years, the products that were carved and, you know, mined and quarried here and carved here are all over the country, and it's a great credit to the town of Westerly.
Masterpieces.
Yeah.
So you've both had some history with Westerly. What are your fondest moments growing up and raising your family here? We'll start with you, Carol.
Well, I don't know. It's just hard to think. I just remember we didn't move around an awful lot. We moved from Chestnut Street, which we still have the old house on Chestnut Street. It still belongs to us. And in fact, my one grandson lives on the second floor there now. And then after the house was finished, my dad and Joe finished the house up on Midway. We lived there for 30-some years, and then they were married. And the house was far too big for the two of us. So it came about that we were able to purchase some land on the Weekapaug Beachway. And that just sounded wonderful too, because we do love the ocean. And I mean, that was a lot of fun there, because we lived there for 23 years. And we'd still be there today if we could climb the stairs. But it was the stairs that did us in.
Yeah,
we couldn't, I've had a hip replacement since, and it was just, you know, it was just too much for us. But that was really wonderful, because you could watch the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, come sailing right by your house and going out to the pond and then coming back again. So, and then there, yes, I can remember, we had all the grandchildren there. And they enjoyed it too. And then we started to travel because of the winters down there. We had the motorhome, so we decided to go find out, search out the warm areas, and we did go to Florida, and we had a place there in Florida. We bought a place in Florida, and then we would go over at New Year's. We would drive over to Arizona, and we did find a home there that was just perfect for us, so that's where we are now. Between here, we still live here, and we're here for a few months, and then we live out there for about 8 months, I guess.
And Joe, your best memories growing up in Westerly? How's it changed since you were young and growing up?
I think the simplicity of my young childhood up in the North End, it was just the basics. This is before my mother died, so I was like 9. I had a summer job at Highland Orchards. The Boissevains had the orchards there, and they would pick me up on a Monday morning, and I'd stay at the farm until Saturday noontime. They'd bring me home. And I liked that work, and I was driving it. At that age, I was driving, on the farm equipment. And so I love to drive, and I've driven cross country many times, and I got my start up there. And there was another farm up at Nichols Corners where I worked doing some haying when I was a kid. But the Boissevains would bring me home at noontime on Saturday, and he had I think it was a 38 Buick, and the trunk opened in the top, and my mother and my sisters would be there to greet me at noontime when they come home, and they would unload the trunk of vegetables and fruits, and and it was just a good childhood, just growing up and with the basics, very, very basic. And like I say, the community, the people were always so nice and good to me and good to our family. So I've enjoyed growing up in Westerly. Like I say, it offers so much, the memories that I have of my grandfather and Mr. Pritzido getting on the Model T. We were walking to school, and my grandfather and Mr. Pritzido would be loading up on his Model T truck to go to the Mellon Estate down the Watch Hill. And the truck the Model T wouldn't make Dayton Street because it didn't have the power. They had to go Pierce Street to High Street and around. And I bring back those memories. And Joe McAndrew delivering Providence Journals with his, I think he had a Packard, four-door Packard delivering the journals on Sunday morning and things like that. And the old timers, Mr. Skolko making his cheese on Dayton Street, and the community was so self-sufficient. All of the little mom and pop stores at the time, the markets were all in every little neighborhood had their own little market, and that was always the thrill. Of course, I used to get in difficulties when I was walk to Mary Rostelli's on Pleasant Street. I would go down, my mother would send me down for a few items, and I'd go down, and I was always attracted to construction. If I saw a backhoe or a machine operating, I'd sit on the curb and watch him, and I'd have the bag of groceries in my hand, and it was my mother would say, "Go find Joe," but it's just the whole neighborhood, and I still enjoy going through the neighborhood. It's a great place for kids.
And what I like to close with on these interviews is your philosophy to how you've gotten to this point.
Well, we've always 70 years. I mean, it's
It's a
You
two-way
just
street.
wonder, let me say, you just wonder 70 years and how old we are. Where did the time go, you know? But when now talking with you today, going back and remember so many different things that we did do, that I understand, you know, it was a busy time for both of us.
So,
But, and you know, after we retired in 96, we had a motorhome for years, but it was always just, I didn't have the time. I couldn't get enough time to take long trips. So we were always New England. Friday nights we'd leave and go to Newport or Maine or New Hampshire, Vermont. But when we retired in 96, we had our first trip with a motorhome we just took off for Florida, and we didn't stay there long, but we ended up buying a site there in a resort, and then we started going back and forth to Arizona, and we really enjoy our home there. And Cindy comes with us. She has her own home. We started, once we got to Arizona, our next door neighbors, they were like family to us. And we started traveling. They were our traveling companions. And we ended up, we've traveled the world. We've been to all the continents. And we've been probably close to 30 cruises. So we've been everywhere from the Antarctic to Alaska to Russia to Australia, New Zealand, you name it, we've been there. And we've enjoyed cruising. It's been fun, it's been educational. We've meeting different cultures, different people. And, but you know, there's one thing, when you come back to Westerly, and like we used to say, well, I want to get to Langworthy Road, so when you come over the crest and you see the ocean, you know, we're home. So, although Westerly will always be our home.